Hey G fans, GojiFan93 here, and welcome back to day. What day are we on? Hey G fans, GojiFan93 here, and welcome back to day 12 of the Godzilla-thon 2014. Today we will be taking a look at Godzilla vs. Gigan, also known as Godzilla on Monster Island. And here are the two figures that will represent this film. The Memorial Box Gigan and Bandai Creation Godzilla 68, but it's still the same suit. Sadly I don't have an Anguirus 72 and I don't have a King Ghidorah 72, so these will be the only guys. Alright, so Godzilla vs. Gigan. When I was little, I watched this movie all the time. This is actually probably one of the movies that I saw the most as a child because the soundtrack, that's probably why I love Gigan so much as a monster. The end fight scene, I remember everything about it. I mean, it's just, this movie was like my childhood. And when I grew up and I watched it again, my last review of this film, I probably actually didn't review it in a good light, like I'm going to do this one, because after rewatching it, this film is actually not as bad as I last thought of it when I first started my channel, when I was still new, because after watching it again, it is classic Showa goodness. There's really nothing wrong about it. This movie does get a negative feedback a lot, but now that I've rewatched it, I don't think so. I think it's actually a very classic Showa film. So yeah, basically, it's another alien invasion story. You got aliens from, I think, what is it called? Nebula X something. It's where Gigan comes from. I don't exactly remember what the planet is, but it's Nebula X something. But the interesting twist is that these aliens are cockroaches. So it's like, oh, okay. So they're Toho's still doing that because it's still the 70s. Yeah, basically they just use the main, the main protagonist. They just use this guy to, they just use him for their. Oh, that's right. He's a designer that is trying to. Fuck. Okay, let's just start that all over again. Okay, so the story is basically just another alien invasion story where the aliens are trying to take over the world. But this time they're trying to take over the world through this plague, they're trying to take over the world through this amusement park, and the biggest thing in this amusement park is the Godzilla Tower, and this thing is really cool. When I was little, I always wanted that to be a real thing. I was like, oh, why can't that be in real life? Why can't that? Why is this just in a movie? Why couldn't that be actually in real life somewhere? But what it actually is the aliens' control tower, and that's where they do all their stuff. The interesting twist is that these aliens are cockroaches, which is just really weird. But whatever, Toho, right? 70s. So they end up having the new monster Gigan, this is his debut film, and Gigan's just awesome. Gigan is actually a really interesting creature. I want to delve more into it. I think I might actually do maybe in the future, a kaiju discussion video about Gigan, just him, because the monster has such an interesting backstory about how he started, and an origin story, and I want to delve further into that. So that might be a little hint for a future kaiju discussion video. But yeah, this monster is just awesome. Probably probably in my top 3 favorite Godzilla characters, besides Godzilla himself, obviously. And he's helped by King Ghidorah. He's back. And a lot of people were kind of confused about this movie because, they're saying well, why is King Ghidorah back? Because in Destroy All Monsters, he got killed. Well, Destroy All Monsters was, I probably didn't mention this in the review because I was sick like crazy, but with Destroy All Monsters, that took place in the future. So this movie is actually in the past compared to Destroy All Monsters. So King Ghidorah is still alive and well. So basically, it's just King Ghidorah, Gigan versus Godzilla and it's basically just Gigan and King Ghidorah versus Godzilla and Anguirus, and this is awesome. And this is the movie that started Godzilla being friends with Anguirus, where Anguirus is basically his sidekick, and that's why this movie is so cool, because you finally get to see Godzilla and Anguirus, rather than fighting each other, team up and help each other. Because in Destroy All Monsters, I don't even think Anguirus showed up or something like that. I don't know, because was Anguirus even in Destroy All Monsters? I don't even know, but I was so sick when I reviewed that movie, I don't even remember what I talked about. Anyways, so yeah, but this basically, the first half of the movie is extremely boring. I remember being a kid and I would just skip through the whole first half just to get to the final battle, because really it's nothing but a bunch of character development, long boring talks about what they're going to do and how they're going to take out the aliens, just a lot of scheming and all this stuff. It's not really that interesting. You came here for the monster fights, and this movie delivers when it comes to the monster fight. This is like a 20-minute battle. It's probably just as long as the Godzilla versus Hedorah battle, and it is awesome. I mean, the battle starts out where like Godzilla and Anguirus. Oh, actually, before I get to the fights, I guess I have to mention one thing that I bet a lot of people are wondering. Godzilla and Anguirus talk in this film, but the thing that's interesting is that the Japanese version, I believe, I might be wrong on this, so correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but in the Japanese version, they had like little comic bubbles that would pop up, and it had Japanese writing in it for what they were saying. But in the English dub, they were actually they were like rare. They had like weird talk where it was like, Anguirus, what are you doing? I know Godzilla sounded really weird, and Anguirus was like, I don't know. Anguirus sounded really weird. I'm probably mixing them up or something like that. I don't know, but just correct me if I'm wrong. But like that scene right there where Anguirus is talking, or where Godzilla's talking to Anguirus, it's just like really weird. And I don't like it when they make the monsters talk like that. I don't like it. It's like, you guys aren't supposed to talk. Just stop, use the facial expressions. That's what I loved about, like with Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. That's what I loved about when Godzilla was fighting Rodan, how they had just you could tell how they were feeling just because of the way their emotions were, not because they were talking. But so anyways, okay, so now we're done with that. Now we get to the final battle, and it's just awesome. It just starts, Godzilla and Anguirus are in the water, Gigan and King Ghidorah are just, they're destroying the city, they just fight, it's awesome. The music that's playing, it's so good. This is one of the best soundtracks. Oh my god, I loved listening to the soundtrack with the Perfect Soundtrack Collection. I loved listening to the soundtrack, it was so good. And it's just like, it's just traditional classic show a fight, and it's just awesome, and it's brutal too. I mean, Gigan and King Ghidorah, they beat up on Godzilla and Anguirus like a ton. I mean, the first half of the battle, Godzilla's getting his ass kicked. I mean, they also use a couple stock footage from Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, which I thought was very lazy, because it's very bad contrast, because this battle takes place mostly at night, and all of a sudden then they skip to a stock footage from Ghidorah the three-headed monster, which took place during the day. So it's like all of a sudden night day. It's like blah, blah, blah. It's really weird. Yeah, but it's just really awesome, and the highlights of the battles were like, where Gigan's flying up and he's literally like slicing Godzilla, and his he bleeds. This is like the first time we see Godzilla like fully bleed out, and like he's just bleeding, he falls over, Gigan does it again. I mean, he does it for like, he gets hit like 5 times, and Godzilla cannot get it through his head that like, okay, if I stand up, he's gonna come over and hit me with his razor blade belly, and I'm gonna fall back over. But then he finally like figures it out. He ducks, and then he blows his atomic breath at Gigan, he falls. But and then like let's see what else. There's a part where Anguirus is trying to get to Godzilla, because what happens is that Godzilla tower, it has weapons on it. So what it does is that it shoots it looks like an atomic breath from the tower at Godzilla, and it hurts Godzilla a lot. Like, it literally shoots him in the face, and like he just explodes, and Godzilla falls back. So Godzilla's getting attacked by this. Gigan's just watching and laughing. King Ghidorah is also watching and laughing. But then what happens is that when they figure out where Anguirus is, Gigan is starting to block Anguirus, and like his razor blade belly's going, and Anguirus is just like, he's like trying to figure out what to do, and he goes for it, and the most gross thing is I can't believe Eggers did this. He's such an idiot. And he goes for it and he just slices his face and his blood just goes onto the camera screen. It's just like, oh my god, it's just nasty stuff. Yeah, and then like the final thing where Gigan picks up Godzilla after he, got his ass kicked by the tower. Gigan's just gnawing, just hitting at Godzilla's forehead, making him bleed and stuff like that. I think maybe on the cover they show it. I don't know if you guys can see, but on the cover, if you guys see the little red on Godzilla's like forehead or something above his nose. But yeah, very brutal. And he throws Godzilla into the tower, and all of a sudden, for some reason, Godzilla gets like his strength back. And when Godzilla gets his strength back, it's awesome. It's like, oh, it's go time. Godzilla's back now, and then he just kicks Gigan's ass and it's awesome. So this whole film, it's just really good. It's, if you can get past the somewhat boring human parts, the final battle is it's one of the best. I enjoy it every time. It's very rewatchable for the Godzilla fights. Definitely a good movie. So if you haven't seen it, or go pick up the upcoming Blu-ray release of this from Kraken or something like that, whatever. It's going to be really awesome. I'm going to get it, and I cannot wait to watch this in Blu-ray. So that's pretty much all I got for you guys today. Stay tuned for tomorrow for Godzilla vs. Megalon, and I'll see you guys then. Stay big, G fans.